to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Kylee, if you'll lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could ask you to please stand, or continue standing, and keep in your thoughts and prayers actually one of our RTM members and the first female moderator, Mary McCullough, lost her husband this past weekend. And Jay Wonk, also one of our RTM representatives and very involved citizen in our town, lost his mom. So if you could keep them in your thoughts. All right, thank you. All right, a little bit of a change with the permission of my colleagues. We have two recognitions to make. I'd like to take Fire Chief Richard Felner, who we're recognizing for 57 years of service to the town. Chief, needless to say, a big thank you. I'm going to ask my colleagues if they had any comments they'd like to share at this point.
I mean, 57 years, it's hard to even fathom how much you've contributed to this town and to the fire department specifically. You've done an amazing job. You're well loved. You're going to be much missed, but I know you're going to continue to stay involved. And that we're going to continue to benefit from your service and your advice, your wisdom. So thank you so much for your service, and we will see you around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Kylee?
Thank you. Chief, thank you very much. I mean, you have served our town with dignity and honor for 57 years, and we are very proud of you for everything you have done. You know, much like with any organization that you're part of, you know, you start and then at some time in the future you're finished. And when you're leaving an organization, if you can look back on what you've done, your accomplishments, and how you've achieved your goals along the way, and the department that you're leading is better than the department that you started with, you can look back and be very proud of what you've done. And you've done exactly that. Our town is safer. We have we have smoke detectors in almost every house. We have fantastic equipment. We have great training. We have great men who serve and protect our town. I mean, there's hardly anything that you haven't done and done well for our town. I mean, even once a year on St. Patrick's Day, you find a way to turn yourself Irish, right? So, I mean, there isn't anything that you haven't taken on as a challenge, and worked hard at it, and done so with great pride. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Chief, this is a tough one for me. As I mentioned at a couple other meetings, we actually go back almost 62 years to when I first moved to town. My dad took a job at Roger Ludlow High School to coach football, and one of the fastest halfbacks on the team was a guy named Dick Felner. So he's been running around town at high speed for a lot of years. Yeah, my colleagues mentioned the amount of change that you helped lead the fire department through. And I think that there's no doubt, if you go back to the technology of the day when you became a firefighter compared to where we are today, you have seen generations of technology and firefighter and life-saving techniques through all that. And you always made sure that Fairfield was on the cutting edge, that we had the best technology and best protocol to protect our citizens. So when I look back and think of somebody who spent 57 years protecting our town, but I also look at it from a standpoint that you spent 57 years willing to risk your life to protect our citizens. And I think that's just an astounding record of achievement. And I thank you very much. And I want to recognize Linda Felner for sharing the chief with us through these years. And I know that every hour he spends with us is an hour he's not at home. And I know some of the hours he's out. So I know he has not been home a lot of nights, a lot of evenings, and Fires are not a 9-to-5 job, as we all know, but you have certainly reminded us that. I get your texts, I get your emails, and your phone calls to keep me updated on what's taken place, and that's been invaluable. But it also shows me all that you do, and it shows me the 7/24 commitment that you've made to this job. But importantly, it's not the job, it's the town and the people of this town that you've really committed to. And I've got to look at the fire department, and I'm saying this Chief McNamara in the background and a few other department heads. No disrespect to any other department, but certainly the fire department is known for having superb customer service levels, not only in the life-saving procedures that you go through in the course of fighting a fire, but also in some of the non-emergency procedures. And I routinely get letters and cards and calls back complimenting you and your team on how well our citizens have been taken care of on some of the smaller things, which can sometimes be a harder job. So in recognition of all of that, and because we do want to know that we want you to both stay around and that you're always welcome, we have a special presentation to make, and I can ask my colleagues to come out and join me. And Chief, if you'll come up. Ready? Chief, to make sure you're always welcome in town.
Thank you very much.
Since you're being shy, here's what it says. It says on one side, Fire Chief Richard S. Felner, 2015, and on the other side, the town of Fairfield, Connecticut. It's one of the few keys to the city that's ever been handed out.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Do you want to say a few words?
Try.
Probably from the podium, so you can get the...
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, and I'm trying. It's an emotional day. But I want to say thank you very much, and I couldn't do it without the firefighters' help, police department help, all working together as a team, the citizens of Fairfield, the administration, and all the different organizations within the town. They've always helped me. They've always been there for me anytime I asked, and we work together well, but mostly the firefighters that I worked with, and that's what I'm going to really miss most. It's just great to go in. We have a great group of brothers, teamwork, and we work together no matter what. When we're up, we're up. When we're down, but we never walk out on each other. And I'd also like to thank Linda, my wife. She's put up and backed me up numerous times. During the storm, I wasn't home for 3 days. She didn't have electricity or anything with the children, and she hung in there, but she always gave me support and held me up. So I'm really sorry. I'd like to say more, but I love what I do, and I want to thank the commission also, and Gary, Chris Liddy, and just everyone else. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Judge Caruso, been supportive, and Tracy, president of the union, and Deputy Chief Dunn, and I can go on and on and on. But thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm not going anywhere. I love Fairfield. I love its citizens, and I'm going to be around. I'll show up again somewhere. You're not going to get rid of me that fast. But I love all of you, and thank you, and just thank you for everything, from myself and Linda and my family. I can't say enough. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is also some very special recognition. Recognition of Fairfield Woods Middle School student winning the Major League Baseball pitch, hit, and run competition for girls 11 through 12 at the National Finals in Cincinnati, Ohio during Major League Baseball All-Star Week. And we have a bit of a proclamation here. And if you'll permit me, I'm going to read this. The town of Fairfield congratulates Kylee Holderied, did I get that right? Thank you, for achieving the highest national recognition in Major League Baseball's pitch, hit, and run competition. As I mentioned earlier, it's not only an honor to have you here, I'm very jealous of what you've been able to do. The pitch, hit, and run competition takes place annually, beginning at the local level in April, with only the first place winners advancing through sectional, regional, and finally through national finals, which are part of Major League Baseball's All-Star Week. Kylee placed first in the regional competition at Citi Field and won the honor of representing the New York Mets. Are you really a Mets fan? Now she is, right? In the national competition at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, Ohio, where she also took first place, winning the highest level championship for pitch, hit, and run in the country. Congratulations. And whereas Kylee is a valued member of both her Fairfield Little League team and the Fairfield Fury girls travel softball team. And whereas Kylee, an 8th grader at Fairfield Woods Middle School, has shown excellence not only in her athletic achievements, but also in consistently demonstrating true sportsmanship and leadership qualities. Now therefore, I, Michael C. Tetreau, first Selectman of the town of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 16th, 2015, as Kylee Holderied Day throughout the town of Fairfield. Congratulations. Now, do my colleagues, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I have a question, I guess. So it's
Oh, excuse me, Kylee, could you take your place at the podium?
You didn't know we were going to ask you questions, did you?
This is a quiz.
So this is pitch, hit, and run. So you excelled at all 3 of those areas. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you went on and you excelled even further at the national finals, correct?
Yep.
Fantastic. And then what did you do to represent the Mets? Did you throw out the ball? Did you pitch? Did you, or no, hit or pitch? What did you do exactly?
Well, this past Monday, they had me come in for batting practice, and I got to meet all the players.
Oh, wow.
That is so
Now we're all
exciting.
jealous.
Very jealous. So how'd you do?
Good.
So one of their pitchers pitched to you and you hit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a huge thrill. I bet. Are you going to Ward next year?
I'm going to Ludlow.
You're going to London.
All right.
They're going to be very excited to see you walk in the door. So really, congratulations. It's a huge accomplishment. And obviously you love the game as well, I'm sure.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Wonderful.
Mr. Kyle?
Yes, Kylie, congratulations. We're very, very proud of you, and your school is very proud of you. I can see your administrators here are here and your families here. That's very nice. Can you just tell us a little bit about the All-Star Game experience? I mean, what did you, other than participating in the event, what other types of events happened during the All-Star Game?
All of the kids who were participating in the competition got to be on the field tracking fly balls for the home run derby.
That must have been great.
Yeah. And then we got to go to the All-Star Game and Fan Fest.
You did. And did you get to catch some balls in the outfield from the derby, or were they mainly over the fence?
Well, most of them were over the fence, but we did get to catch a couple.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, my compliments. I had already told you I'm jealous of you, so I won't repeat that again. But, you know, when I look at what our town's done to support sports for boys and girls, and, you know, we went through a long community conversation a couple years ago on a girls' softball field and what we're doing. It's great to see that you do participate in the softball team. It's just amazing to think that somebody from our town could be the best in the nation at something. And I just am in awe of being able to do that. But I congratulate you for your competitiveness, your dedication, and for doing the risk things. So I know you had to take some chances to go through all this. So again, just congratulations, and thank you for making our town proud. It's great to see that. Let's officially present this to you. What did you want here? It's here. All right. Again, congratulations. And this proclamation is all yours. Did you want to say the podium is yours.
I would just like to thank the town of Fairfield and all of you for this recognition, and it was a really great experience for me and an amazing opportunity.
And in honor of your achievement, we want to let you know that you don't have to stay around for the rest of the day. All right.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Congratulations.
Nice to see you guys.
All right. Next up. We have the ever-exciting approval of minutes. Item number 6, to consider and act upon the minutes of, do we want to do these one at a time or all together?
All together is good for me.
You okay?
Altogether is fine.
All right. To act upon the minutes of regular meeting of July 15th, 2015, special meeting of July 29th, 2015, and special meeting of September 3rd, 2015. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any changes or edits to the minutes? We're good to go?
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, that's that. Next up, we have a couple of resignations, and these is for information only. From the Fairfield Ward High School Roof Building Committee, Malcolm Rowe, unaffiliated of 100 Arbor Drive. His resignation date is September 8th, 2015. And then B, from the Town Facilities Commission, Terri F. Leopold, unaffiliated, from 146 Coleman Road. Resignation date September 10th, 2015. For anybody interested, that obviously creates 2 vacancies on both the Ward Roof Building Committee and the Town Facilities Commission. We also have other vacancies at various commissions in town, and if you'd contact my office at Town Hall, we'd be happy to fill you in on those. So we're looking for more volunteers. So please let us know if you'd be interested in helping out. Next item up, from the Director of Public Works. The lease in this agreement requires RTM approval. This was postponed from September 3rd. To hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Director of Public Works. Resolved that a solar power purchase agreement between the Town of Fairfield and CEFIA Holdings for the purpose of erecting a photovoltaic electric generation system on the ground behind the Recreation Tennis Center at 15 Old Dam Road for the sole benefit of the Recreation Tennis Center, at the term of this agreement being 20 years, be and hereby is approved, and further resolved that a system site lease agreement between the Town of Fairfield and CEFIA Holdings for the purpose of erecting a photovoltaic electric generation system on the ground behind the Recreation Tennis Center at 15 Old Dam Road for the sole benefit of Recreation Tennis Center, the term of this agreement being 20 years, be and hereby is approved. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second? Thank you. Any discussion? I think, Mr. Michelangelo, you were here for a bit before on this?
Yes.
We had some questions as to the, I think, the neighbor reaction and feedback from the neighborhood. Could you please give us an update on that? And if,
Sure. Ed Bowman, who generally handles these projects for the town of Fairfield, the Assistant Director of Public Works, had another commitment this afternoon. But Mr. Bowman and Jerry Lombardo, the Park and Rec Director, had a community meeting out there, right at the site there, met with a good turnout of residents from the Pine Creek Associations. They had numerous comments about these units, and as part of their comments and concerns, the units, as you see in the sketch, were located to the north side of the building. So they'll be entirely along the north side of the new permanent tennis center building there. So the only place they'll be visible is on the west side, and there will be planting screenings placed there to address the visuals to the residents on South Pine Creek itself. Mr. Ginley, who's president of the association, just confirmed the fact that all of his concerns as president of the association has been addressed by the location of the array and by the screening.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I would just, oh,
Go ahead, please.
we did get a letter from Eric Sussman, who's a member of the RTM and represents the district where the tennis and rec center are, and he did send that to all of us. I don't know if he wanted that read into the minutes, but he did want us to know that as an RTM member for that district and a board member for the Pine Creek Area Association, they were pleased with what DPW had come up in terms of the placement of the panels, et cetera, and that they were happy to, have this move forward, that they were fine with it. And I know that that was what we were waiting for from our last meeting, just for that assurance.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there was also a late email, if I'm reading this correctly.
That was from a couple of days ago, also confirmation, yeah.
Yes, from one of the members of the Pine Creek Association. Did you both get a chance to see that?
Yes.
Okay. That basically confirmed that they were okay with this also. I do want to thank Representative Sunman for sending this along. Look at, do we want this all read in, or make a note in the minutes that we will attach this to the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Is that good? All right. And I think we should attach the other email too, just to confirm that we had the appropriate
There are copies here,
feedback
too.
from the neighborhood. All right, any further questions from the board?
No, I think the questions have been answered. The correspondence was clear, and so, thank you.
All right. Any comments from the public? All right, seeing none, back to the board. Are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Thank you, Joe. Next item up, also from the Director of Public Works, to hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Director of Public Works. Resolved that a solar power purchase agreement between the Town of Fairfield and Greenskies for the purpose of erecting a photovoltaic electric generation system on the roof of Mill Hill Elementary School at 635 Mill Hill Terrace for the sole benefit of Mill Hill Elementary School, the term of the agreement being 20 years, be and hereby is approved. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
I should point out, there's, as much as these are similar, they're a little different. The first agreement we just approved has both a power purchase agreement and a system site lease. The power purchase agreement only needs to be approved by the Board of Selectmen, and we've done a number of these over the past year. However, the site lease needs approval by the RTM, so that lease will be going on to the RTM for their approval.
Okay.
This item, while similar, is just a power purchase agreement. There is not a site lease involved, so because there's no lease involved, the only item on here for approval is from the Board of Selectmen. It does not need to go on to the RTM. Joe, do you want to step us through this a little bit?
Sure, this is similar to a lot of the other projects we've done around town. I believe this is probably the fifth one on our school buildings. The units behind in the previous project are the ones on stanchions. These are the ones that we're laying right on the roof on two sections of Mill Hill School. Sort of the section to the far south and middle part, which I believe is a gymnasium part. So these will be flat units laid on the roof, ballasted on there. Because there's less capital cost involved in these type units than the ones that are erected like in the parking lot and the ones at the beanery there's more favorable electricity rates provided. Mr. Bowman provided the narrative. So this will provide approximately 23% of the power to the school building. There's no capital cost to the town at all. So the vendor that install these makes his money, recoups his capital cost by selling us electricity at about 50% of the market rate, and they also get an energy credit from the ZREC program. So that's how this one and the other ones in the past have been modeled, and it's proven to be successful for us. We've worked with Sal Morbido of the Education Department to specifically identify the locations of these. It's not going to be, if you look at the whole footprint of the building, it's probably on about 25% of the total Mill Hill School, specifically identified as roofs that it could last for 20 years without causing any kind of roof issues or future maintenance problems.
Okay, so the essence of the financing part of this is it doesn't cost the town any money,
Correct.
and we get lower electricity costs going forward for the next 20 years.
Correct. Approximately 50% on a quarter of our electricity.
Okay, very good. Any comments from the board?
I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. It sounds like a good deal for the town. My question is, we had a capital planning workshop last night with the Board of Finance and members of the RTM, and the Board of Ed was there to talk about their capital plan. And one of the things was potential construction with Mill Hill for an expansion. Potential, I mean, it's still a moving target. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. But how, if we had the panels up on the roof and then we proceeded with construction, how does that, is there some sort of a clause for what happens if the roof that the solar panels are on is going to go under construction? Do we move them? How does that work, since it is a...
Now I'll defer to Mr.
Okay.
Morbido on how that incorporates into these plans.
Excuse me. Good evening, Sal Morbido, Board of Ed. The expansion of Mill Hill, obviously, we haven't hired an architect,
Right,
haven't done a survey.
right.
The portion of the roof of the existing building where the PV panels are going is the newest section of the building, so instinctively, I don't see that portion of the building being invaded or demolished or changed in a substantial manner that would damage this system being installed. We've done expansion with PV in place. Fairfield Woods had a small, or still does, a small PV system, and that expansion took place directly adjacent to that system. It was maintained in place, kept functioning through the construction. So same thing would have to be coordinated with whatever project comes out of design for Mill Hill.
If we had a worst-case scenario where that area of the roof did need to be, there needed to be construction there, how do you work that out with the, are we breaking the agreement somehow? Are we liable for not being in a...
There's, and I think
Is there a clause of some sort that we have that would get us out of the lease if we chose that, if the architect said this is the only way to go?
Okay.
How does that work?
And I won't answer the lease question. I think there's the better alternative, and we faced this at the Fairfield Theater, is, once again, we had the solar panels were on the warehouse portion of the Fairfield Theater. That's undergoing the current renovations now. And what we did in conjunction with the renovation, they needed roof space for air conditioning units, rooftop units. They were easily moved, so instead of being on the flat portion there, they were easily moved to make room to the pitched portion of the older part of the building to the south. So these are pretty flexible units where there's give and take. So that's probably the better solution if this was, if this had to be modified to relocate them to another portion of the roof to meet the terms of this agreement. And the Fairfield Theater is a good example of how it was accomplished for a project within the last year, but it's also a good example because you could stand on the bridge and actually see the solar array right on the roof of Fairfield Theater. So that's the best example I could give.
Okay. Again, I'm just wondering if there's something in our agreement, some sort of a clause that protects us if we do need to move them, if
Yeah.
is there something that we have in the agreement to that effect?
Specifically, no. There's not really an out clause. We're basically committing to this for 20 years to utilize these and buy power from them.
Any further questions here?
Yes, please.
Mr. Kylee?
Thank you. You mentioned that the panels were going to be on about 25% of the current roof. Can you just quickly walk us through, we've done some roof work up there over the years, even recently. Can you just quickly walk us through, the new parts versus the older parts? And this is on the newer part of the building, but is it a newer roof or an older roof? Just, if you could give us the lay of the land on the roof up there, where these are and how they might affect the roofing future of the building. And in addition, if you could talk about other opportunities on that roof down the road.
The roofs that this is designed to be placed on is the roof that we did last summer.
Okay.
Or roof areas. It was, Joe said, gymnasium. It's actually our all-purpose rooms, the cafeteria, and the south wing, the kindergarten first grade wing.
Okay.
On the building, and that is approximately 14,000 square feet worth of roof space. A little bit, it's probably closer to 20% of the roof area.
Okay.
We specifically picked those roofs because they are new. The rest of the roofs are, don't have it off the top of my head, but they are still under warranty, but they're nearing end of life expectancy. So it's not a place that we would put solar panels, because we would have a roofing project, say, within the next 10 years. Other opportunities that were explored on that site were some ground-mounted solar panels in the parking lot, but that was taken out of this proposal.
Okay. And you touched on warranty, which was my next question. Just big picture, do any of these panels potentially, negate any of our current warranties or down the road?
No, the installer will have to go to the roof manufacturer and go to their engineering department to get a solution. They pay a fee for that pre-inspection of the roof area. They come up with the solution on how to install their product, the PV product. There's dozens of different products out there. How to install that particular project on that warranted roof. They tell them the ABCs of how to do it. They comply, it's inspected by the warranty company, and our warranty stays in effect.
Okay. And lastly, whether it's in conjunction with a building project down the road or in conjunction with a new roof that we might need in 5 or 10 years or whatever, are there opportunities on that roof for other panels down the road, just based on location, sunlight, and availability?
Sunlight, yes.
Sunlight, yes.
Age of roof, no.
Age of roof, no.
That'll be farther down the roof replacement line.
Okay. So you would need a new roof to put any more
Wouldn't be
panels
prudent to put it on the roofs that are,
currently there.
they're still good roofs, they're just too old.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
So I was saying I could easily find an answer to your question.
Which question?
Is there a termination clause in this? Based on my initial review of this, I don't remember the termination component.
There is a buyout option in there, so we could purchase the system at various parts of the 20-year span, and of course it decreases as it goes there. But that's the buyout, so to speak. But I don't believe there's a termination clause in it.
Has this
If you
come
look at-
up
if
at
you look
all
at
with
page
other
12.
schools
Yeah,
that
that's
you
right, on
put
page 12.
the
Yep,
panels
that's
on?
good.
Have these questions come up? You know, similar questions if we're doing potential, or considering construction? Has this come up or been reviewed?
Specifically, I don't recall if that question's been asked.
Just wondering if the town attorney looked through this and is comfortable?
Okay. Yes, the town attorney has looked these ones specifically over, and these are modeled after the previous ones also.
It does seem to reference an early termination fee, but I don't see a definition of the early termination fee.
Okay.
And it's not a termination fee, but on Schedule 5 in the appendix, which is one of the last pages there,
Yeah, you're looking.
there is the purchase option for the town. So the vendor is investing their capital, and the only way they get it back is through selling power
You're looking, I
and the
have
credits.
That is the
right here.
termination fee.
Right to terminate this agreement on
Page?
page 12.
Right.
Mhm.
Just can't find the fee to find it.
It's on page 8 in the appendix. There's a fee schedule that starts in year 1 and goes through year 20.
That's D8.
Yeah, it's like third page from the back. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, here it is, yeah.
Right. Sheila, I think that's a good point. From my standpoint, I'd like to explore this a little bit just to see what our obligation is and what types of termination we might have.
I think that's a good idea.
Because at this point, it could be as much as $300,000 or $400,000. And I
Right.
think that bears a little more scrutiny.
It does.
Given that, would somebody like to propose a motion to postpone to a date certain, like our next meeting, while we get a better understanding and possibly have our town attorney join us? Jen, if we could make a note about that?
Sure.
Have our town attorney join us and step us through the termination points on the lease?
Sure. I move to postpone item 9 to a date certain at the next Board of Selectmen meeting. I believe it's October 2nd?
I don't,
First, I think? 7th. Oh, the
Seventh.
7th?
7th,
Sorry.
October 7th. So I move to postpone item 9 to October 7th, the date of the next Board of Selectmen meeting.
is there a second?
Second.
Any further comment on a postponement? Any comments from the public on the postponement and the postponement only? All right, seeing none, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. You could talk to Mr. Bowman about that and see if perhaps he can join us that date too, to make sure that we have both Ed and our town attorney here to kind of step through the arrangement on that.
Yes.
All right. Next up, the Smith-Richardson Clubhouse Building Committee charge. To hear and consider a charge from the H. Smith-Richardson Clubhouse Building Committee. Now, we've got a number of handouts for this here, and I think you've got all those. This is the first time we are taking this up, and we've got quite a bit of material here. Is there somebody from the Golf Commission here? All right, is there anybody who would like to address, Peter, would you like to say some comments on this in terms of, just give us your take on some of this background?
Town Facilities Commission, hi, Don
Oh,
Martino.
hi, Don, good. I know we, and just to clarify for my colleagues,
Sure.
we got a request from the Golf Commission. What I asked the Town Facilities Commission to do is review the clubhouse, to kind of give us their view of the current status, and they were good enough to take it through that, but also suggest some thoughts on how to move forward with it. So Peter, if you'd give us a little background there, Mr. DiMartino, if you could come up and represent the TFC and give us some background on that. We do have the documentation here. Since we're not necessarily voting today, but I did want to get us thinking about this and get some of the background.
Okay.
Sure.
All right?
Thank
Well,
you.
the background is the clubhouse been there since '72, and it's very outdated. I mean, the oil we spend is ridiculous in the wintertime. We're spending $30,000 a year on oil alone to heat the place. The furnace isn't even attached to the building. It's a separate little hut outside the building. The windows just don't hold the heat in. Spend money on the exterminators coming in for mice and flies and whatnot. Leaks, toilets, the bathrooms are outdated. I don't go in the ladies' room, but I'm always getting complaints about the smell in there, the leaks in there. And the air conditionings are upstairs in the attic. It's just very outdated, and it just needs upgrading. How we do it, whether we renovate or knock it down and start anew, that's, I guess, up to the commission, and the building committee, what they want to do, but something has to be done there. Because if we don't do anything, whether renovating or building a new one, we have to do something to stop losing money on the place with the, and plus, if we could keep it open year-round, we got a concessionaire in there. I think personally they could be paying more rent to run the restaurant there, but because it's only seasonal, it's like I said, it's heat efficient, is not very good. Always breaking down, the heat is getting cold in there, spending a lot of money on oil. That's just tip of the iceberg.
Okay. Thank you. If I might try and add some perspective to the comments that you made on that. One is that I'm not going to say I'm the best golfer, but when you look at our club compared to others, and I do feel fully qualified to judge 19th hole facilities. I think in looking at this, compared to other surrounding courses and their facilities, on the public side, not talking about the private clubs certainly, this is one of the least improved and poorest facilities in that case. But secondly, when listening to past presentations on the marketing plan for the course, and the Golf Commission has done a phenomenal job in terms of looking at their revenues from where they come from. Those revenues included from residents, and then also looking at the non-residents play, and specifically looking at in comparison to other clubs. Their financial model shows that the non-residents pay actually provides the basis for allowing us to keep our resident rates as low as we do. So the non-resident play becomes a very crucial part, and one of the biggest variables in the annual revenues that we get. So the condition of the clubhouse and the facilities become a key component of non-residents playing here. Due to the lack of installation and the technology and building techniques of the day, we have high heating costs and energy costs. And that initially you might think of a golf clubhouse as being only used during the warmer months when golf is played, but as we expand this into a year-round operation, the heating costs quite literally go through the roof during the colder months and colder days. So we have an opportunity to enhance the clubhouse, improve our operating costs by improving our energy efficiency, but also making it a more desirable place to use in the season, as Mr. Grace mentioned, potentially get improved rental income from that, but also enhance the likelihood that out-of-town or non-resident golfers will come and play at our facility and help us keep the revenues up in what's becoming an increasingly competitive world of golf courses. Did I get that roughly right?
Yes, you did.
All right, thank you. Any questions from Mr. Grace, or do you want to get Mr. DiMartino up here? If you would come up and give us the TFC perspective on this too, please.
So we had done a feasibility study or recommendations from TFC that, if you have that handout, lists all the architectural, mechanical, electrical, just all different disciplines of recommendations for the clubhouse. And Just following up on both what Mr. Tetreau and Peter said, is the place has reached the end of its useful life. It's 43 years old. The mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems are shot. You walk in there and the carpets, it's, no offense to anybody, but it's embarrassing to walk into that clubhouse and to see the condition of some of the hallways to the back bathrooms. Bathrooms are isolated from the public space, so you really have to walk through the locker room to go to the bathroom. It's just arranged incorrectly. It's time to upgrade. If you go to any other course in town, even Fairchild Wheeler, Toshawa, we're behind the times. And it's got a potential source for increased revenue, like you said, with, make a better restaurant. We've talked about putting a second story on to overlook the 18th green and fairways. It's a beautiful view if there's anything that could be done with that. But it's time that, in our opinion, that we really should be investing in our wonderful town in a more classy facility up there.
I think in terms of one of the mechanicals, the septic system is on its last
Septic
legs, too,
backs
which
up.
obviously would be a major issue, and more important if it got expired, if you will.
Right, we'd have a...
During the season, or as Murphy
Right,
Law
we'd have a
says,
serious
at the
issue
least
with,
appropriate time, we'd be in serious
Right.
trouble.
And, it does offer the opportunity with an upgrade to getting a restaurant business up there, or more off-season participation. The place after golf is just desolate. No one even hangs around, where you look at some of these other facilities, and they're nice, and the restaurant is an established place that you get the public attending.
Yeah. I mean, the golf course itself gets something like 45,000 rounds a year, which is phenomenally busy. It works 7 days a week, unlike many courses that work 6 out of 7 and take Mondays or some other comparable day
Right.
off. This course is doing that. We know we get a pretty consistent number of resident rounds every year. I'm going to say roughly in the 30,000 range. So the competitive part is that last 14 or 15,000 rounds where they're paying twice what the residents pay.
Right.
So that basically really subsidizes the residents' rounds in that case, but is also the most competitive, and it's subject to what happens in surrounding towns.
Right.
It's a beautiful setting. The course itself, I get...
The course is in
I don't get
fantastic
to play
condition.
much anymore, but I get compliments from my friends that play about what great shape
Oh, the course is great.
in. Good job, Peter.
Yeah.
And so I think that's all part of what we're saying. We've got a beautiful course, appropriately challenging, in great shape,
Yeah.
and getting tremendous amount of use. The clubhouse can enhance that experience, but also enhance our revenue possibilities in doing that.
And our ultimate recommendation, which is, I guess, why we're talking tonight, is to develop a building committee to
Right.
get it to the next level.
Okay. And I know I've been talking a bit, but any questions from my colleagues?
Well, a quick comment, and probably for Peter. I mean, you guys have done a great job of upgrading the course, and we've been investing each year through the budget process a little bit at a time to improve the course. And I think we have made great progress in that effort. So I see this as the next step, the continuation of the total upgrade, doing something with this building and making sure that this building is reflective of the wonderful course that we have, and is something that our town can be proud of. So, it looks like it's the next logical thing for us to be looking at up there, and certainly deserves a lot of support and merit at this point in time.
And I'd just like to say I've also followed the process through the budget seasons in terms of your 10-year plan and the upgrades, and I know this is part of this is your next step. I'm not a golfer, but it is a beautiful setting. I have cross-country skied up there, and I see people up there all the time snowshoeing and kids sledding. I peeked in the clubhouse when it's been closed. I mean, you could view it as a destination. The restaurant itself could be a destination for, Fairfield residents, non-residents, because it is such a beautiful setting. It could potentially be Four Seasons as a revenue driver. I mean, that would be pretty exciting to contemplate that. Are you also looking at the bathrooms and the back 9 hole as part of this building committee, or did I misread that?
Well, we,
That's in the 10-year plan?
That's in the 10-year plan, but it's not part of
It's not
this,
part of the clubhouse?
no, we were within the
so you're
four
looking at
walls of
just the
of
bathrooms at the
yeah.
clubhouse? Okay.
We have talked in the 10-year plan of whether it's going to happen or not, is to put a bathroom out in the back 9 with septic and all that, like you did at the Tetreau softball field.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Something like that, but that's a little further down the road.
Mhm.
Well, I think a building committee makes a lot of sense to take this to the next level and look at what can be accomplished and what makes the most sense, especially since it is a revenue driver for the town.
Sure.
And we want to be competitive with the other courses.
Kevin, did you have anything to add?
No, I completely support your comments.
And looking at this, including our packet today, we have a plan from 2008 dealing with the clubhouse. We have a copy of the 10-year master improvement plan for the golf course overall, including some of their financial projections. There's also the TFC report, which I don't see here, but we'll make sure we get a copy of that to the board. And then we've got I'm going to say an outline or draft of a potential building committee charge. So I'd ask that we take time to review those in between meetings and come back and we'll take a hard look at a charge for the building committee at our one of our future meetings, if that's acceptable to the board.
Sure.
It is.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I think I'm good, thank you.
All right, thank you very much for coming, Dave. Peter, thank you too.
Just a quick question for Peter.
Go ahead.
As far as your,
Peter, could you come up to the podium if you can answer this?
as far as next steps from the commission's perspective?
Yeah.
Your next meeting, I mean, where are you guys in that process? Like, are you solely waiting on us to put together support for a building committee? Or what else are you guys doing at your meetings to further this process?
Talking about putting together a building committee, waiting to get a building committee together
Okay.
and start on designs. And when, I mean, we already had one design, I don't know how, I mean, that was 7 years ago, I guess it was.
Yeah, that's,
So-
I think, the 2008
Right.
packet that we have.
Yeah.
So we did have a design on it, but whether we go with that design is,
Or something else that's...
that's why they're going to get a building committee. Let's just talk about getting committee together and keep moving forward on this.
Yeah. And the document with the report from the TFC, it was just done a couple of years ago, so I think that
Right.
has some updated thoughts on
Yeah.
the condition
I might-
of the clubhouse itself, and I think that's,
I might add that another part of the deal, I don't know if it's in there or not, but the pumping station for the irrigation system is also very outdated.
Yeah.
So that's going to be included in there,
Okay.
which could save on a lot of things, but I won't get into it right now, but electricity. And we got new systems, we put fertilizer through it.
where's the pumping station located?
It's surrounded by a fence between the 6th tee and the 10th tee, with a little lean-to roof on it.
Huh.
Okay, offhand, I suspect that would be part of the course maintenance as opposed to the clubhouse. But why don't you take that up with the golf commission
We'll
and
do
see
that.
if they're looking at something as part of that. But I would have thought that would have been more of a course maintenance component than a clubhouse component.
Okay. So
But let's make sure that's in the plan somewhere.
we'll be in the plan someplace, I promise you
Because
that.
you raised good points on that. Any further comments here?
No, thanks.
All right, so we'll bring this back at a future meeting and take a look at, what's his name? Yes, I'm sorry?
Hi, how are you? Hi, Peter, how are you? My name's, I'm sorry, I walked in late. My name's Ryan Scully. I'm actually a member of the Golf Commission.
Oh, please.
And Ryan Morris, the chair, asked me to attend today, but of course I got caught in traffic coming up back
No
from
problem.
work.
Thank you very
So-
much.
Oh,
First of
you're
all,
welcome.
thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to reiterate what Peter and Mr. Terri say and what everyone said on the board. And just, I think Ryan Morris, our chair, has sent you a few letters kind of outlining what the commission's position is. And I'd just like to, again, request that a building committee be formed. I think Peter mentioned he's lucky enough to sit in on the commission meetings with us. And we're pretty much stalled in the process until that happens. We just kind of go, roundabout talk about it, but nothing ever gets serious. We haven't talked design or anything like that since I've been on the board, which has only been about 6 months. So we pretty much just waiting for the charge for the building committee, and we would hope that would include at least 1 or 2 members from the golf commission as well as from the town facilities commission. just so we can make sure that, we can have our input into what needs to be done moving forward. So if you have any questions about what the Golf Commission's doing or any process, I'd be happy to try to answer them the best I can.
Just off the top, Mr. Grace had a couple questions as to whether a pump system was going to be included, and it sounded like that was perhaps a course issue rather than
Probably would be a
clubhouse
course issue, I agree, but we certainly can discuss it. I have not read the entire feasibility study, but I don't think it was in there, so.
Well, you also have a 10-year plan, so the question would be, is it someplace else in the 10-year plan?
I think I don't think it is.
It may not be appropriate for this project, but it sounds like it's something that the commission ought to be looking at as part of future plans.
Yes, I agree with that, and I don't think it is in the 10-year plan. The bathrooms that you guys were talking about earlier definitely is within the 10-year plan. I don't believe it's part of this clubhouse project, though. I think currently they have a contract with Royal Flush for porta potties that are used out there now for the bathrooms on the back nine. So I know that we're very excited about the opportunity to be involved and get the clubhouse built, because from my understanding, it's been a long time coming. It was long before my time on the board, but I guess it's been a long time coming, so they're definitely excited about it. So I appreciate you guys letting me have the opportunity to speak, and I hope that we're able to move forward.
No, happy to. And did you follow, I wasn't tracking exactly when you came in, did you follow what we agreed to do here, which is we're postponing for now for the board to review the material we have here, including the report from the TFC. We've got the 2008 study and the 2010 study. Both, I guess one's a feasibility study, one is the overall master plan. We'll look at the TFC report and comments, come back and look at putting together a charge. If there's any thoughts or comments from the commission of things you'd like to make sure that are included in the charge, we'd certainly be happy to consider those.
Okay.
So if you want to get those back, that would be great.
I will. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments from the board? All right, we're good to move on to the next item? Okay, next up, to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount recommended. May I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
A second?
Second.
All right, any amendments? Please.
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment to delete the period at the end of the sentence and add a comma, followed by the amount of $5,052.42.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the amendment and the amendment only? Any comments from the public on the amendment and the amendment only? Back to the board. Are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, the item as amended stands before us. Any further discussion? Any comments from the public? We ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Next up to hear, consider and act on any communications. There are none before us. To hear, consider and act upon any other business that shall properly come before this meeting. There's none that I am aware of. Next item up is an adjournment. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.